All right, today's an exciting day of RT Sidebar. I get to hang out with two other very good-looking bald men. Talk about ethics. Wiki, 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 right? We're going to talk about ethics. We're going to talk about just how we all got here and what we're doing next. 2025 was an experiment for all of us. Now we're going to go into 2026. Well, I was talking to my wife. She goes, "Who's Rob and Mike? Who are they?" I'm like, "Well, Rob and Mike are my ethics guys. That's what they do. They do ethics. They come on RT Sidebar. They're OG barflies." But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, how did we all get together? Rob, I met you maybe about a year before I met Mike. So, yep. Rob, how did this all begin? Take us back down memory lane.
Oh, I love this story. So it had to have been, Matt, it had to have been what, 5 years ago? It had to have been 5 years
ago.
Right?
It's almost 4
years. Yep. All right, 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, Lindsay tells me all about you, tells me about Matt Pavlichko, what you're doing, RT Sidebar, the entire, right? Yeah, look at this. The entire thing. She's like, you got to meet Matt. The two of you are just going to blend. You guys are going to just be best buds. I'm like, all right, cool. So she sets up, it's RT Week, as a matter of fact. We just finished up Respiratory Care Week. It was during RT Week. She invites us both to meet at the Copper Door in Bedford, New Hampshire. One of favorite restaurants, beautiful place. Very nice restaurant. So you and I sit down, shake hands. Lindsay's with us, and she's basically like, "All right, I gotta go. She's like, I gotta go take care of Respiratory Care Week somewhere. So I'm just gonna leave you two guys to hang." So we literally sat there for like 2.5 hours, if not more, and we just chatted, we talked, we ate great food, we had a cocktail together, and we just absolutely, you and I we shared so much in common that we just hit it off, and we've known each other as, I think, not just good friends, great friends.
Great friends, absolutely.
Colleagues, professionals. We think a lot alike. We share much about our passion and our love for the profession of respiratory care. And, you ended up introducing me to Mike Sheahan. Actually, I listened to one of your first podcasts with Mike, was Mike talking to his subject matter expertise. Yep. As a legal expert, right? And I just absolutely found his talk to be absolutely incredible. You going back to you, Matt, you were doing a talk on ethics, and then you invited me to give a talk on ethics, and I gave the talk at the spring conference of the Vermont, New Hampshire Society for Respiratory Care last spring. And so it was a little different than the one you gave. And then you invited Mike. Mike came on, and Mike kind of took the lecture, and he spun it like in this totally different aspect that I don't think I ever would have thought of going down. And again, just thought that Mike was just a phenomenally bright, intelligent guy. Again, passion for the profession, passion for protecting the patient. And then finally at AARC Congress last year, it was only last year.
Yep.
That Mike and I finally shook hands and met for the first time. And again, we hit it off. Again, we share all the same interests. And this was funny, you had us sit down and do a podcast on ethics, an ethics snack at the AARC.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
And what was I'm thinking back about this now.
Oh my God.
I don't know if you noticed it, Matt, but Mike and I sat down across from each other, and it was like the death stare. Yeah, the stare going on through the entire time. You're running through the ethics and you're running through the scenarios, and he and I are like lock-eyed together, like, who's gonna flinch first? No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, you're wrong. No, you're right. It was
where it
awesome.
happened.
And
that's where it happened.
Yep.
That's where it all happened. And from there, Mike and I we stayed connected. Again, the two of us found that we have this absolute passion for ethics and morality. And we have just worked together to create what we think is a really cool product that is going to grow and evolve over time into something bigger and more. And we feel that the RT community wants to have this conversation, that there's more to branch off, to allow our fellow RTs to feel free to share their experience, whether it be a positive ethical situation, a questionable ethical situation, testing our limits of morality. What are, like we talk, Mike and I talk about common morality, particular morality. What do all those things mean to us as human beings, and how does each one of us come at it from a completely different aspect? That's what makes us all unique persons in healthcare, is we're all different, but we can all agree like on the ethical treatment of our patients.
And we're going to get super into these ethical conversations, because I think that you said something that was really important. It gives people the freedom to have a discussion. And I want to get into that. But first, Mike, Dr. Mike, always good to see you, brother. Always good to see you. If I remember correctly, did Cedric introduce us via email?
No, it was Jonathan.
Jonathan Butler.
Jonathan Butler, yeah.
JB, thank you, JB, as always, brought us Mike. And then we started using you. We had a really nice webinar. I remember the first time you gave a little talk, but talk about your experience getting to meet us and getting to meet Rob. Rob gave us a good foundation. What were your thoughts?
Absolutely. I'd like to go back. I need to give a shout out to Raphael Goding.
Raph, I forgot.
I credit Raph with meeting you guys and where we are now.
That is true. It was him. That's true now.
What had happened was he had reached out to me. I've known him since 2007. We used to work together for a minute. And we've just kind of kept in touch here and there. He reached out to me because he was trying to get his company to pay for the CSRC conference in Southern California. Mm-hmm. And he was asking, because he knew I was involved in the CSRC, he was asking if the CSRC, not me, had any scholarships, because his company wasn't wanting to pay for it. Yeah. And so I reached out to the CSRC, got back to him, let him know, no, they don't. But I let him know, this expert witness stuff and this subject matter expert things that I've been doing over the last 13 years now, I think. And I have a business, and I said, I'd be willing to sponsor you to make sure that you guys get there. And he really appreciated that. And he said, no, I'm going to make my company. We're going to get the money. And then I saw him. I had a booth. I had a vendor booth, and he had a vendor booth, and we were just a couple booths away. So I went to go say hi, and we just kind of got talking, and I had let him know that I was looking to start speaking.
Okay.
And that goes, and I apologize, that goes back to my program starting a bachelor's program. I was complacent for about 14 years. Just teaching, just doing my thing, no big deal, happy to be doing my expert witness work. And then when we decided to do our bachelor's program, it kind of lit a fire underneath me, where I realized I had been complacent for too long. I needed to do more. I needed to give back more. And so that brought me to wanting to start speaking. And so he said, well, after the conference, let me send an email to my friend Jonathan. I hadn't met Jonathan. Mm-hmm. And so he sent it to Jonathan. Jonathan sent me to you, and poof, a year later, here we are.
It's a match made in heaven. That's just how it is. And
it was literally last March that all this happened. Yeah.
It's crazy. JJ and I talk about this all the time. And no matter how great of a respiratory therapist you are, and you could be great. You could be a great researcher. You could be just the bee's knees of respiratory therapists. But the people that you meet along the way are the ones that give you the opportunities.
Absolutely.
It is the adage of, hey, it's not what you know, it's who you know. 100% is about this. So Rob, you, Mike, and I, JJ, Mindy, all of us, we've talked about it. What does networking and meeting people mean to you? And why do you think it's so important?
You want to go first, Mike? You want me to take this?
Oh, I thought he was addressing you first.
Oh,
Oh,
whoever
that's
would
okay.
like to go first.
Well,
Because
let me take it first then, because networking is really the crux of my story there.
Yeah.
Getting to know people is the utmost importance in growing as a practitioner in healthcare and in life. You know, getting to know people. And what happened was, and this I have to kind of branch off because this is part of my networking. During that first webinar that I did, as I was preparing for it, they sent me your previous PowerPoint. And I remember reaching out to Matt saying, I don't want to step on this guy's toes. I don't know him, and I'm not about that. I will come up with my own. I don't want to usurp your intellectual property. That's not appropriate to me. And so Matt tried to tell me, no, it's okay. Rob's going to be fine with it. In fact, he's actually going to be on the webinar. He's going to be watching. So I stole your pictures, but I created my own slides around them. And then when I met Rob, initially, it was actually on that webinar, and we were disagreeing a little bit. And that was the beginning of what we're doing now. And not disagreeing disrespectfully. He was saying, what about this? What about this? And I was going, oh, that's a good point. I need to make sure and cover that. He was keeping me on task and making sure that we covered what we needed to cover. And so when I had the opportunity to finally meet both of you in person at Congress, it was a glory day for me. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was amazing.
It was a lot of fun. Rob, like I think about network, I think about the people that you've introduced me to, people I've been able to introduce you to, and Mike, and like to me, it's all about people. It's all like, hey, this person has this. But what really drove me to bring you two together wasn't an ethics lecture. It's how you guys talk about a topic in a different point of view. Because differences in point of view is also a big part of networking. I'd love this world to be full of Matt Pavlichkos. I'd love that. But no, I wouldn't get anything done, that's for sure.
It'd be so easy though, right?
But Rob, to me, networking is about perspective. It's about learning. It's about diversity. It's about us 100%. Understanding our different backgrounds. What is it that, like, tell me about like your thoughts about networking, why it's so important to you, especially this part of your career?
That's a great question. I was thinking about when I was a younger RT and really focused on being at the bedside. I was focused on networking as a clinician. So it's meeting other clinicians, not necessarily like-minded clinicians, but they could be like, for example, NICU, PD, transport. So all the areas of respiratory care, pulmonary rehabilitation, all the areas that I've been very lucky in to participate as part of my profession. I sought out to build relationships. And networking is about relationships, right? It's about getting people that, to Mike's point, you can have like-minded people, you can have different people, but it's okay to not necessarily be like-minded all the time. But it is definitely about building relationships. As we become more, I think as we grow in our profession, as we have become leaders in our profession, we seek to build relationships with different people. We tend to build relationships with people who are perhaps in leadership or in education, because those are the people now that we want to build different connection at a different level. What you're asking me is, I think it's almost like a multi-layered cake. Right? And you start down here in your profession, and you're bonding with clinicians, and then maybe you're bonding with educators, maybe you're bonding with NICU people and transport people and pulmonary rehab people and education people and leadership people, and you're building this multi-faceted, multi-layer professional network that I think creates this huge umbrella for you. And you still can go back to those, right? You still go back to those people that are still clinicians at the bedside, right? And rub elbows with them and stuff like that. And then you say, how's it going? And they look at you and go, wow, look what you're doing. Like it's cool to have people that I have known, let's say 30 years, that I once worked with side by side in the profession, to say thank you for everything you're going out and doing to help our profession grow. That's a touching honor for me,
Yeah.
because I don't think myself as, I always joke around at work, you know, they're like, you're the boss. I'm like, nah, I'm just another grunt in the field, right? That's how I think of myself. But I have been, you know, blessed by many of the people in the profession, whether they be getting work for such great people as Bob Kazmarek and work for Dean Hess and Ray Ritz, right? I've worked at Dartmouth, and I have, you know, a great friend of mine up there who's now the director. Shout out to Matt McNally, previous director, Scott Slogic. The physicians that I've met over the years too, who have become such an influence on the way I view critical care and neonatal care and transport care. Again, I think all of our lives are a growth process, and the more that we grow our networks, the better we become.
And just to dovetail off of what Rob just said, networking is a powerful tool, but how we use it is more important. Rob, you mentioned being a young RT and networking. When I was a young RT, my networking was for a different purpose. And I know that Rob and I now, our networking is geared towards giving back, just like yours is, Matt. It's geared towards giving back to our community now, more so than it was when I was a younger RT. I networked a lot, but I networked from a what is this going to do for me standpoint. Now I look at it in terms of what can I do for our profession, and where can this networking take me, and how can it help me help us benefit our profession. And so networking, as powerful as it is, does need to be used for the right reason.
Yeah, it evolves over time. Now that you say that, you're right. It was about me at first, how I could learn, how I could grow, but it was also a lot of people like me back then. But now I want to learn more about people that aren't like me.
Exactly.
And what I could learn from them, but also how I can give back. And I think that that's really what all this is about. You know, here in 2025, you know, we had a conversation about giving back and about the voice that RT Sidebar has, and how can we channel that voice into something giving back. So, Mike, walk us through when the three of us were sitting down, we're saying, okay, this is what we think ethics can be, and this is what we want to try to do. So when we were first got together, we said, okay, it's not going to be a vapotherm thing anymore. We really want it to be Rob and Mike. We've had 3 DICE webinars. How did that evolve? How did your voice evolve, your and Rob voice, when it comes to ethics?
Well, I think it's a matter of lecture versus conversation to me. When it's just me and I'm on there and you're moderating, I'm giving information, but I have to be able to draw back from somebody. And this is Rob, this is to your credit. This is where Rob was a huge help in that webinar. He was that voice, and we had a conversation even though he wasn't on there. And I think later, after Rob and I met, we realized that, and Rob, and I won't take credit for this, these were Rob's words or Rob's thoughts, was Rob had mentioned that we need to change how we're approaching conferences. We need to get away from this lecture standpoint where I'm up there and I've got statistics on the screen and I'm telling you, and I'm standing behind a podium, and we need to have a conversation and put 2 or 3 people up on the stage and let's have that conversation. Now we have talking points. I for the most part, except for the education stuff, Rob's always teaching me something on stage and it kills me. But aside from that, we kind of know where we're headed, and I know where Rob's stance is. He knows where my stance is. And the beautiful part is when we throw it out to the audience and ask them to get involved in our presentation, in our conversation. And when they do that, and you see that these 3 people agree with me, these 9 people agree with Rob, these other 100 people have differing opinions from those 2, and you say, all right, now how do we find that middle ground? Because what's the end result? The patient. And so that's where this evolved from a single webinar that you did, that Rob did, that I did, to us sitting on a stage together, having this conversation and inviting the audience into that conversation.
Is this, Rob, is this storytelling at its finest?
It is storytelling.
It is. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is.
I think that you're right. I think that the power of stories really get people to feel comfortable. So right back to what you said at the beginning, Rob. When you start to tell a story, the audience engages. If you're going P values, nobody cares. But because you're leading with a story, you're almost inviting somebody else to tell their story. And that's the power of ethics. You need everybody's opinion. You need everybody's thoughts to find that middle ground. So I've been lucky to be a part of this, and I always thank both of you so much for letting me moderate.
You are a central part of this.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. I don't think so, but because I think you guys are just great. Vermont, New Hampshire. We were at Rob's territory this year. We were at the California Society, which is Mike's territory. And then we did the national scene during Respiratory Care Month. And I want to say, you broke a record for the most amount of attendees on. That was then broken a week later. But the most attendees.
That's good.
You had over 3,000 people. Wow. On your webinar. So for awesome. Respiratory Care Month, I want to give you the golf clap. During Respiratory Care Month, it was broken 3 times. You just happened to break it first. So congratulations. I find these lectures amazing. First off, we always get a history lesson from Rob.
Absolutely.
We always get that. Hippocrates and all these other people. Immanuel Kant, right?
Immanuel Kant, yes.
Whoa!
Philosopher.
You could say I learned something. But the scenarios are interesting, and the feedback from the audience is interesting. So either one of you guys, tell me about somebody that gave you feedback that's memorable to you, or somebody that was in the audience that made a comment that you're like, ooh, that was a good one. I'll let you think on that one for a little bit, because there's some good ones out there.
Right off the top of my head.
You got 2?
I got
Let's
2.
do it.
Mike, I think I know. I'm going to let you go first. Go ahead.
You want me to do one and you do the other?
Yeah, I think I know who you're going to say.
They're both from New Hampshire. They're both from the Vermont, New Hampshire conference.
Okay. Go for
it. So I'm going to take Major. I'm going to take him. I don't know Major's last name. Shout out to Major.
Major.
Yeah.
Because this isn't a lecture. This is a conversation. And we're discussing this with the audience, and we're getting feedback from the audience. And during our presentation, and this is what I love about it, I was discussing our neonatal scenario, and Major corrected me and shut me right up. And it was great. It was awesome, is the thing. And he pointed out something that I hadn't considered. And this is the beauty in these conversations.
Yeah.
This is the beauty in not lecturing to a crowd, not just presenting information and walking off stage, but sitting down and inviting them to get involved. Because I'm not perfect. I had missed something that I hadn't taken into consideration with regards to what I was saying. And when Major brought it up and pointed it out, I was done. I was like, all right, Rob, go ahead. Because and that's what I did, because and that's fine. That's what we need to do. I didn't get offended that somebody had a different opinion. I didn't get embarrassed that I had missed a step or missed a consideration. I learned from it. And then in California, we actually presented the same scenario again, and I remembered what Major taught me. And this is what having this conversation is to me. Awesome. There is a second one. Rob, what's the second one? Do you know?
Oh, I just want to make a point about Major for a second, because he was that first ripple on a perfectly mirrored pond in the morning.
Yep. He was. It was
Once
awesome.
he spoke out, it was as if there was that single ripple, and then it just completely built and built and built and built, and people just now really engage. And again, it's a conversation. We're not up there to lecture. We want to inform, we want to teach, and part of that teaching is conversation and right participation, not just between us, but between our fellow RTs in the audience. And I don't think, Mike, you're going to have to remember. I don't know that I can remember who the second person was, but it was very memorable for you.
It was. The second one was the young lady who came up to talk to us about that neonatal simulation after the presentation.
Shout out to the girl from Brigham and Women's. Yes.
Oh, is that where? Okay.
Yeah. And we had probably a 5 or 10 minute conversation, because she disagreed with again, I think it was my take on it, which is fine. But it wasn't, in this case, I hadn't missed a consideration. This is just kind of how my ethics and my morals differ from someone else's, going and all geared towards the patient. Rob and I were able to have this conversation with this young lady, and in the end, we weren't trying to get her to understand or agree. We were just trying to hear and listen on both sides, and she was doing the same, and it was really cool. It was really awesome. And to go back to Major really quick, Rob's right. It was right after he said something the very first time that the rest of the audience realized, oh, we're part of this conversation. And that's what made it awesome.
Wow.
Yes, agree.
Yeah,
agree.
It was really cool.
So it seems to me, you guys are talking about ethics. We all have to get ethics CEUs, and we do all this, some more than others. Just saying, Mike. But what I love about this is really it's not about ethics. This is about bringing people together and having a conversation and listening. I think what you guys have is maybe something our whole country could do a better job of. Just sitting down and listening and getting each other's perspective. I love that you entertain. I love that you educate, but I love how you pull these stories out of your audience. And I think that that's probably the best way to educate. You guys haven't seen this, but we got a comment from your webinar that said more companies should be teaching like you guys do.
Nice.
Wow.
That's awesome.
You guys could give like a TED talk on how to do this the right way. So I just want to say, first off, I think what you guys are doing is great. I can't wait to see what's next. But keep up. This way to do it, I think, is a powerful way to teach. So my last question, one of my bigger questions, is what's going to happen in 2026? What are you planning?
So we are we're going to start a podcast. The podcast is going to be based on ethics. It'll be called Let's Get Ethical. We're working on the logo, website stuff right now. And the consideration with regards to an ethics podcast is we don't want to be there to ram ethics down anybody's throat. Yeah. And we don't want people to think that just because it's let's get ethical and we do this ethics stuff, that it's going to be strictly, beneficence, medical futility, it's not going to be that. There will be some of that because we do need education. There will be some that we're just talking about scenarios. And the wonderful thing is most of our scenarios, with the exception of 2 that we've presented so far, they're all things that have actually happened to Rob and myself, patients that we have actually dealt with. And so being able to pull current events, pull current things that have happened and discuss the ethical and moral implications in some of that from differing perspectives, which means we need to have, leaders that come in and have these conversations with us. It can't just be Rob and I talking. We need to have these conversations. If we're going to have them, we've got to have them. And so we are looking forward to getting that started. We're hoping by the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, we'll have our first episode drop.
I love that. You know what I would love? I would love if you guys had a conversation on one of your podcasts about this new national patient safety goal when it comes to staffing. That's an interesting one. I was like, oh, look at that. But there's so many good current events for you guys to just talk about. I'd be fascinated. I think that's a fantastic idea. At Vapotherm, we've been doing some ethics conversations. We have some stuff up. We're not going to do that anymore because we have you guys. We're going to send everything that any requests that we have to Mike and Rob. One of the things that you guys have already started, you guys already have a couple places you're visiting in 26. Is there any shout outs or any people you were like, hey, get ready. Let's get ethicals coming. Where are you guys going to be?
Yeah, I am super psyched. I'm going back to Cali, right? In April? Temecula,
in April.
California.
Temecula, nice.
Temecula, California. We are also going to Missouri. We're coming to the Missouri Society of Respiratory Care. I believe pretty 99.9% you and I will be in Massachusetts next year.
You got it.
Can't wait. I think that there'll be other opportunities. Mike and I are definitely, we're networking. Right?
Absolutely.
We are getting out there. We are meeting the heads of other societies. We're saying, hey, this is what we have to offer to your RTs on the way of ethics, morality, and having the conversation with one another about this. And so Mike and I are hoping that we have a very, very busy 2026. And that rolls into 27 and 28 and 29. And we see a natural, organic maturity. And again, to Mike's point, right, we're not going to sit here and just talk about ethics. we want it to be broader conversations, because maybe we talk about moral distress. We talk about compassionate extubation, and we talk about the business side of healthcare ethics, right? I think that if Mike and I have had we're having many conversations about what we believe what our vision is. You can't get anywhere unless you have a vision. And then you got to take that vision and you got to work to make it happen. And that's what we're going to do. And we hope and we pray that our message will be on track and people will open their arms and their hands and say, this is great. We're so excited to have some people, some friends of ours in the respiratory community coming forward to invite us to speak to them.
Well, I think that you guys are really onto something. I think it transcends even respiratory therapy. It's healthcare. It's how we take care of our patients.
Yes.
And every decision we make has an ethical consideration, and we need to think about it that way. And it just makes us better caregivers. So Barflies Worldwide, I want everybody to keep an eye out for Let's Get Ethical in 2026. I think that if you are a state society that want to have Mike and Rob, I'm going to have the emails available at the end of this broadcast, but please check them out. Please give them a buzz to have them come and talk. I think that you'll love it. We always finish up with some shout outs. So Mike, I need a shout out.
Can I shout out to the RFPs we've submitted that haven't said yes just yet?
Oh, very good.
South Texas, Connecticut, Montana.
Nice.
We're coming. We've submitted. We want in.
Nice. Nice.
And then
I love that.
I'll shout out Raph again.
Raph.
Just because Raph and Jonathan, for sure. Because without these connections that we've made, I know I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys. So
awesome.
Thank you to them, and thank you to you guys. I'll shout you guys out, Rob and Matt. 100%.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Rob, any shout outs?
I do. I just want to give the bromance back to my friend Mike. and
100%.
100%. And you too, Matt, Mr. Pavlishko, because Matt, this was your dream and this was your vision, RT Sidebar, and you have become, right? I'm going to just postulate for a second. You're the #1 podcast in respiratory care, and there's a reason for it. Because again, you bring people together and it's a conversation. So shout out to both of you guys and everybody in our profession, right? Everybody who is out there, whether you're working at the bedside and critical care transport, the NICU, PICU, rehab, pulmonary function, wherever you are as an RT, know that you matter and the work that you do makes a difference every day to our patients.
Oh my God, I couldn't agree more. I think that's my big shout out. This is the week after Respiratory Care Week. It's the week of Halloween. Everybody be safe out there. But my shout out is to all the RTs. I love being an RT. I love RTs that just care and take care of patients and just do a great job. And my shout out is also to you guys. Shout out to JJ, shout out to Mindy, shout out to JB, all the supporters of RT Sidebar. So with that being said, check out RT Sidebar every 2 weeks where we have these great guests like Mike and Rob. Check out Let's Get Ethical. Check out all the RT Sidebar socials, because as soon as we know what their plan is, it's going to be all over RT Sidebar. Awesome. We're going to be talking about Let's Get Ethical. Check out The Shift, which episode 2 was on just this past week, was delicious. I loved that episode of The Shift. It was fantastic. And give yourself a hug. It's over. RT week's over, but the importance of RTs never stops. So from all of us at RT Sidebar, I just want to say thank you. Stay tuned.
David Thurman does not practice medicine or provide medical services or advice. Any clinical recommendations provided herein are solely those of the speaker. Practitioners should refer to the full indications for use and operating instructions of any products referenced before use. Hosts and producers are paid employees or consultants of David Thurman, and our guests are not compensated.